Welcome back, everyone. Muslim apologists frequently try to draw parallels between Islam and Judaism, distancing both religions from the Christian faith. This strategy has several implications. For example, since Christianity allegedly developed in isolation from Judaism, we must look to other worldviews to see where beliefs, like the divine Son of God, originated. Further, since such theological adaptations typically don't happen overnight, we must also be able to trace the evolution of such doctrines in the New Testament. This is why we are told we may detect a development from the low Christology of Mark to the high Christology of John. There's only one problem. The underlying premise of this strategy is wrong. To put it briefly, Muslims who try to isolate Christianity from Judaism do not understand ancient and Second Temple Judaism. In other words, they don't understand the Hebrew Bible or the ancient interpretations of it, so they're hardly in a position to make a comparison. Following ancient Judaism, of course, and the Second Temple period from 515 BC to 80 70, we have Rabbinic Judaism from about 80 70 to 80 650. But most Muslim apologists don't even take the time to study Rabbinic Judaism either. They're happy to compare their own understanding of modern Judaism, however accurate that may or may not be, with Christianity, and say, wow, look at all those differences. Such comparisons appear to be great material for polemics against Christianity, but they are in reality anachronistic and irresponsible. Now, I'm happy to concede the point that Christianity is different from later Rabbinic and certainly modern Judaism. That makes sense. Rabbinic Judaism developed, in part, as a response to Christianity. But the question is Christianity contiguous not with Rabbinic Judaism and its later developments, but with the Old Testament and ancient Judaism? To answer that question, here are some samples from three scholars of Judaism. Peter Schaeffer comments, the proximity of Binitarian ideas of pre-Christian ancient Judaism to thoughts and images as encountered in the New Testament is obvious. This is not merely a matter of parallels, much less equations, but rather of fundamental insight that Second Temple Judaism prepared the stock on which the New Testament could draw. Viewers will, of course, note that this obvious close proximity of ancient Judaism and the New Testament that Schaeffer is describing is, of course, not obvious to Muslim apologists, and they like it that way. Daniel Byron, in commenting on his book The Jewish Gospels, states, "I'm going to tell a very different historical story, a story of a time when Jews and Christians were more mixed up with each other than they are now, when there were many Jews who believed in something quite like the Father and the Son, and even in something quite like the incarnation of the Son in the Messiah, and when followers of Jesus kept kosher as Jews, and accordingly, a time in which the question of the difference between Judaism and Christianity just didn't exist as it does now." That sounds like continuity between Christianity and ancient Judaism, not discontinuity. And finally, Benjamin Sommer comments, "It is immediately evident that the fluidity traditions from the Hebrew Bible and the ancient Near East found expression in Christianity. The most obvious example of fluidity in Christian thought is the notion of the Trinity. For all the trouble that Jewish and Muslim philosophers have had with this notion, the Trinity emerges as a fairly typical example of the fragmentation of a single deity into seemingly distinct manifestations that do not quite undermine that deity's coherence." It's so easy, yet again, to knock down another polemical house of cards. So share this information with your Muslim friends so that we can dialogue more intelligently about these important issues. Lastly, I want to remark on the irony. It's actually Islam that's detached from ancient Judaism and Christianity. Islam has been heavily influenced by Rabbinic Judaism and Jewish mysticism. We've seen this many times on this channel. The author of the Quran does not appear to know the difference between scripture and later traditions that developed from it. So when the Quran claims to affirm the Torah and Gospel, it actually seems to confuse them with later rabbinic and Christian legend and folklore. Islam, therefore, can claim much continuity with later rabbinic Judaism for what that's worth. It therefore appears that this polemical house of cards has been built to obstruct our view of a fundamental, persistent problem with the Quran. To this day, the overwhelming response to this problem by Muslim apologists is to distract from it. Surprise, surprise. Don't let them do it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.